Here's this week's My Boat feature.
There's lots of boat owners that have a boat they're quite happy with, even if they've had it for a number of years. If the boat's the model they want and it's still in great shape, the one thing they look to for making an improvement on their boat is to repower with some newer technology. Now in this case, this Mercury 152 stroke has done great service on this boat for 21 years, but it's time to up the tech. So this week on My Boat, we're going to repower the center console with a new Mercury Verado 175. Since the new Verado is fully digital, everything pertaining to the old motor, from instruments and wiring to controls and steering, were removed from the boat. I've removed the seats, T-top and console to access the fuel tank. In Central Marine shop, with the 4 transom bolts removed, a power hoist made quick work of lifting the old motor off the transom. Well, that takes care of stripping the boat down. Just got the motor off. We're going to clean up the hull and get some of the oil and grease and everything out of it, and then we're going to take on the real important part of the project, and of course that's rigging the new Mercury Verado 175 onto this 20-foot center console. Well, our Verado 175 has arrived here at Central Marine, and obviously we didn't bore you with taking it out of the crate, but it's arrived in perfect condition and it's ready for installation. So I'm just going to move it into position and start the prep on the existing holes. After applying marine caulking, the new bolts were driven through the transom and washers and nuts secured. Given the age of the boat, I installed a new fuel line with double clamps. I also installed a new fuel tank sender. We're at a transition point in the project here. We've put the boat back together, the things we had to remove to put in a new fuel sender and new fuel lines and the like. Helm is back in place, so now we're going to start to work on the helm, starting by putting in the new hydraulic steering system, of course digital throttle and shift, and the instruments. After fabricating a plate for the helm, the new hydraulic steering pump was attached to the plate and bolted in place. Next, the gauges were installed in the existing cutouts on the panel. To fill the spaces, we had selected a multifunction Mercury Merc monitor and fuel, volt, and trim gauges. Finally, after some modifications and new holes in the helm, a single binnacle digital throttle and shift was installed. After applying some anti-seize to the helm pump shaft, the wheel was slipped on and secured. The last items to be installed on the helm were the new key switch, designed to work with the DTS system, and the lanyard stop switch. Next, I fished the 2 new hydraulic hoses through the raceway from the helm to the transom. Back at the Verado, the next new hardware to be installed was the low-pressure hydraulic steering cylinder that matched the new pump. As with all of the components, Mercury provides detailed instructions, so it was a simple task. At the transom, I slid a rigging boot over the hoses and connected the hoses to the port and starboard cylinder fittings. Under the helm, the hoses were attached to pump connectors with the installed fittings. Both the pump and the hoses are marked port and starboard to ensure the right connections. Well, that takes care of the mechanical components on this particular project. We've got the engine on the transom, we've got the hydraulic hoses and steering rams in, the helm, the instruments, the digital throttle and shift, and of course our ignition components. So next week on the show, on My Boat, we're going to show you how to do the electrical side and the networking side of this installation.